So Jussie Smollett's appeal in the Illinois Supreme Court has failed, and you will not believe how much time he has to spend in jail, and also what the financial penalty that he has to pay will be. Keep on watching until the end. Now, Jussie Smollett, as you may recall, was an individual who used to star on a TV show called Empire, and he went to Chicago and stated that he had actually been attacked because of his orientation and the fact that the people who did the assault apparently had a Trump hat on too.
We were the ones that did it.
Yeah, it was us.
Extra with an exclusive first look at Jussie Smollett, Anatomy of a Hoax.
So, this case is quite convoluted and has a lot of different issues at play. Number one is the fact that the original prosecutor who was on the case was said to have had a friendship with Jussie Smollett's sister, and her office decided initially not to prosecute him. There was an alleged non-prosecution agreement. However, that was taken off the table when a special prosecutor was appointed because of the public outcry, the public furor as a result of the media interest. So, Jussie Smollett was not able to escape justice in that case, and he was brought to trial. Now, the two brothers in the case who were said to have attacked him actually testified that they were hired by Jussie Smollett to set the whole thing up so that he can gain sympathy. So when this came out at trial, obviously he got convicted because he was not able to discredit their testimony or put on any contrary evidence to that effect. Now, his appeal in Illinois court was based on several different issues, and the court itself even stated that he tried to appeal every single point in the case. Well, as you can imagine, that was unsuccessful. Now, the first point of appeal was that a special prosecutor should not have been appointed and lacked authority to advance the case. And the wording in the judgment was that Smollett contends that statutory authority was lacking for the appointment of a special prosecutor. The appointment order was vague and overbroad, and the appointment was not statutorily allowed. And the circuit court erred in denying counsel's motion for a substitution of judge. Another point of issue that Jussie Smollett had was that he stated that the non-prosecution agreement he had should never have been set aside. And the judgment stated on October 14th, 2021, Smollett filed another motion to dismiss the indictment, alleging that the state had breached an immunity-type non-prosecution agreement by re-indicting him in violation of his right not to be hauled into court on the same charges. Furthermore, in addition, Smollett also contended that his right to double jeopardy or against double jeopardy was infringed. What is double jeopardy? It means you cannot be tried for the same crime twice. You cannot be tried twice. Now, where does this come into play? It came into play because in the trial, initially, when the trial first started, apparently the prosecution had committed an error in the indictment, and rather than simply changing the indictment, they had to ask for a mistrial. So essentially that is the equivalent of having a false start if you're at a track meet and having to redo the race over again. Now, they stated that because of the false start in the trial, prosecution should be allowed to proceed, whereas Jussie Smollett stated that was a violation of his right against double jeopardy. And interestingly enough, there was another issue in which Jussie Smollett's own lawyer had actually spoken to the two brothers in the case. His own lawyer had initially had discussions with them, probably with a view to representing them, and talked about the facts of the case before he ultimately decided to go with a more high-profile individual in the trial, which was Jussie Smollett, and he decided to represent him. Now, when a motion for the counsel for Jussie Smollett to be removed from the case was made by the brothers, the trial court disagreed and stated that the counsel should be allowed to remain, but he should not be able to cross-examine the brothers. And the counsel's name is Enye Uche. So because of all of this, Jussie felt that he would have a right to appeal. His appeal would be allowed. However, the court said nonsense, absolutely not, and did not allow the appeal. So therefore, his jail term of 150 days and his order to pay £25,000 and $120,106 to the city of Chicago is still in place. However, he does have the right to appeal the current appeal judgment, so it will be interesting to see what he decides. But what this does is that it underlines the fact that you have to be very careful whatever you do. And once you have people that can testify against you in a conspiracy, the likelihood of conviction certainly goes up, unless you can discredit their testimony, show that they were incorrect, erroneous, or have some animus or bias towards you, which would render their credibility completely inconsequential or non-existent. But that was not the case in the Jussie Smollett trial, because obviously the jury believed the testimony of the brothers enough to render a conviction. And I'm assuming there was a jury, because I don't recall that specific fact. However, even the best of lawyers in this case may find it difficult to advance a convincing defense for Jussie, because there were so many different people testifying against him, and there was evidence that he did conspire with them to commit this act. Because most people who are assaulted by people they don't know certainly don't have any link to them prior. They've not been seen talking to their alleged attackers, muggers, before, and have not been texting them. So Jussie certainly had his or had the facts stacked against him. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.